Well, welcome to the webinar, everyone. It's another Wednesday. It's another chance to learn a few things. Today's topic is Physical Fitness 101. The real purpose of today's topic is to try and teach people where physical fitness should begin. If you've ever taken a college course or correspondence course or anything else, 101 is always kind of the beginning. It's the basics. It's where you start. And, this is probably one of the most confusing things that people run into when they decide that they want to start a change, if they want to start modifying the way that they feel and the way that they look. Everyone has a different approach. Everyone has a different idea. There's countless books and things on the internet to choose from. But today's whole idea is to basically give you the secret. That's the real purpose. What is the number one secret to physical fitness? What is the best thing for you to do? So, this whole series, everything about these Wednesday Lunch and Learns is to try to give you the information that you need to make an informed choice, to empower you with the information so that you can not only change yourself, but also help change the ones that you care about and the ones that you love. So what is it? When you're looking at physical fitness, is it cardio? Is it weight training? What is the real answer? What is that secret? What's that one thing? Where do I start? Do I need more cardio and less weight training? Do I need more weight training and less cardio? I mean, what is the secret? Well, the secret is simple. The secret is physical fitness begins in the kitchen. See, I want to let that set in for a second because a lot of people joined on this webinar and decided that they wanted to watch today thinking that they were going to get a lot of information about the best workout program or the best cardio program or the best combination of those two. But the reality is what we're going to talk about is if you really want to get yourself in physical fit shape, the best place you start is in the kitchen. In fact, you are what you eat. This picture kind of tells the entire story, if you know what I mean. It's almost as if the person on the left represents a majority of Americans these days, and the person on the right is something that is foreign to most people. In fact, broccoli is something that very healthy but very rarely eaten on American tables. But you are what you eat. In fact, the old adage, you can't out-exercise a bad diet, is 100% true. Everyone's heard this, that you can't out-train a bad diet. You've heard it over and over and over again, but you've never really had the visual. You never really have gotten to understand the impact of this statement, that if you are literally trying to out-train a bad diet, you're going to fail. It's going to catch up to you. The best example I can give is this one right here. So if you ran a half marathon, okay, in 2.5 hours of running. So in other words, if you were able to complete a half marathon in 2 hours and 10 minutes, you will have burned 1,366 calories. But in fast food terms, it would take you less than 15 minutes to consume that same 1,366 calories. So think about that. If the average American is eating fast food every 48 to 72 hours, that's simply getting a meal in the bag, through the car window, into their car, and 20% of people consuming it in the car, not even waiting until they get home. But if that's the fact, then you would literally be having to run a half marathon every 48 to 72 hours just to burn off that one meal. Now take into consideration that 74% of the population is already overweight, that the fast food that we're consuming is just a portion of the bad part of the diet that we have, because we're also eating a lot of processed foods, junk foods, snack foods, loaded with salt, sugars, and all kinds of other things. But the reality is this: you cannot, no matter how hard you try, out-train this. Because let's put it this way. Let's say that you're in good physical shape. You're looking pretty good right now. Everything's fine. What happens if that workout routine gets interrupted? What happens if you have a knee injury or a hip injury or an Achilles injury or anything else, and all of a sudden you're on the sideline and you've established certain eating habits that you have that have been offset by your training? What happens during that 3, 4, 5, 6 week period when you can't train? Well, you're going to balloon up. It's just part of the process. What if you could change the diet so that it was less dependent upon the exercise and more dependent upon just getting you the food that you need as the true fuel for what it is you're trying to accomplish? So, the idea behind what we're trying to do here on this webinar is to basically show you that we can't keep doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome. Every January 1st, somebody chooses that they want to go on a diet, they want to get fit, and normally by January 11th, they've given up. By February 1st, they've already gained more weight than they started with. And the reason why is because we keep trying to do the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. Einstein defined that as insanity. We have to have a different result. We're all on this hamster wheel. It's amazing to me how we all do the same thing. We all fall into the same trap. That January 1st, I'm going to go join the gym trap, where you can't find a parking spot, and by February 1st, it's like a ghost town. But, you're locked in now for a year or whatever the case may be. The whole concept behind what we want to do is show you why this happens. See, most diets look like this. You have your before, you have your after, and then you have your after. It's kind of the, why is it every time I go on a diet, I lose weight, but then when I gain it back, I gain it plus some. In fact, we hear all the time, I've lost the same 30 pounds 3 times. Well, the reality is that's actually not true. You haven't lost the same 30 pounds 3 times because when you actually look at it, what you've actually done is you've lost lean muscle and fat on the way down. That's right. As you're basically losing weight, you're not losing weight, you're losing muscle and fat. See, this is why we teach, the best thing you can do is lose fat, gain muscle. That's the best kind of program you can have. Weight loss programs don't work, you bounce back. The reason why is that lean muscle, it's what's going to increase your metabolism. The more you have, the higher metabolism you have. So, you want to increase your metabolism, you want to be able to eat more and still lose, you're going to have to put more lean muscle on your body. But as you're losing weight, you're losing fat and lean muscle. When you gain the weight back, you're only gaining back the fat. And then when you lost it again, you lost fat and lean muscle. And then when you put it back on, you lost the fat. So you're not losing the same 30 pounds. In fact, what you're doing is you're putting on more fat and losing the lean muscle. So even though you may be the same weight that you were the 3 times that you tried, the body composition or your fat percentage or your body fat percentage as it's referred to is much higher than it used to be. And it's also shown that you're going to live about 2.7 years less by doing the yo-yo diet according to the CDC. So it's not the same 30 pounds. See, the diet cycle looks a little something like this. You start the diet, you go into a famine response. In other words, your body goes catabolic. It's basically saying, whoa, what's going on here? Why am I not getting the food I normally get? I'm going to go into a fat storage mode. Your metabolic rate, basically wanes. It starts to go down. You start to fall off the diet. And then you go into that feast response, which is now all of a sudden I'm going to revert back to my habits and end up right back in this repetitious cycle. And this is where it gets us. The reality is it looks a little bit different. That picture tells a story, but I want to tell it a little bit differently so that you can understand why it is that every time you've done the diet and then you started gaining it back, you gained it back plus some. See, BMR baseline. BMR is your basal metabolic rate. What that means is if you woke up in the morning, didn't get out of bed, just laid there all day long, this is how much you're going to burn in calories just by breathing, just by being alive. Okay, everyone needs to understand what their BMR is because that establishes our baseline. As we start to lose weight, though, as we start the diet, okay, our BMR actually drops. See, that basal metabolic rate will come down because the body is naturally designed that when it starts to go into starvation mode, so most diets are caloric restrictive diets, what happens is that BMR baseline comes down. And as it's coming down, our metabolism comes down, and all of a sudden, we have to do more to lose the same weight. And of course, the calories that you're taking in are restricted. And it takes about 90 days for us to hit that goal of where we were trying to go to. And then all of a sudden, we've given up on the goal, or we hit our goal, and now we're happy. So what do? We revert back to what we used to do. Because we didn't change habits. We went on a caloric restricted type diet or a temporary solution. So now we're back to day 1, and we start day 1 with our weight gain. You notice how that BMR baseline stays right there. Well, guess what happens at day 90? At day 90, guess what? The BMR baseline is still way down there at the bottom. But our weight is already back to where it was. And in fact, it takes 120 days, roughly, for that BMR baseline to catch up to where our current weight is. In other words, it needs to adjust back to where we are currently. So what ends up happening is it may only take you 90 days to lose the weight. It's only going to take you 90 days to put it back on. But the problem is it's going to take your metabolic rate, your BMR baseline, about 120 days to catch up to the new weight program that you've put on. And what ends up happening is you put on more weight in the process because we didn't change our habits. We just temporarily changed what it was we were feeding our body. So that's the diet cycle. That's why it's happened over and over. Here's the top 5 reasons why diets fail. Very easy. Hands down, these are the 5 reasons. They're a temporary solution to a behavior problem. We say all the time at ID Life that we're in the behavior modification business, not the body modification business. If we can't change the way you think and act, we can't change your body because it has to start with that. It starts with your brain. You have to focus on the behavior problem, not the weight problem. Second, there's a lot of diets that label foods as good or bad. This is awful. I hate when people talk about, some foods are good, some foods are bad, cupcakes are awful. The reality is this, it's all moderation. Okay, once you've established something as bad, what ends up happening is if you have a situation where you just have a craving and you just have to have that cupcake, now all of a sudden you feel bad about yourself. Now all of a sudden you feel like, oh man, I've fallen off the wagon. Oh well, I might as well just go ahead and give up. It makes no sense to label things good and bad. What it basically means is there's a consequence for the decision. We need to understand that if we decide that we're going to have the cupcake, there's something that we have to do in response to having the cupcake to basically take care of that issue. It's not that it's a bad thing. It's not that your habits are a bad thing. I mean, you have some addictions that you don't even appreciate to sugar and salt that are basically going to overwhelm you because I can tell you right now, you are not stronger than your impulse. You are not stronger than that desire. I mean, that's why we have these addiction clinics all over the globe. I mean, it is going to happen. I hate when people try to label things as good and bad. So make sure that you don't do that. Third, diets tell you when and how much to eat. Your body should tell you when and how much to eat. That's the reality. See, what we should be talking about is not caloric restriction. We should talk about caloric value. We should talk about calorie-rich foods. We should talk about foods that you can eat as much as you want because they're so calorie dense. We should talk about the metabolic effect of certain foods that we decide that we're going to consume. That should be the conversation, not a restriction. So that's the other reason. 2, or I guess 4, I should say, diets trick you into thinking they have a new way to lose weight. Every year, somebody else has a new diet. If you look at all of the available diets out there, all the available diet books, the diet gurus, the experts, everyone has their solution. It really isn't that difficult. It really is a very easy concept. The most difficult part about it is we have to change the behavior, the number one reason why they fail. Diets don't work because they're not focused on the right thing. Diets are focused on the food rather than the behavior. We have to start with behavior. And 5, diets don't address the lifestyle change required to achieve the desired result and make them permanent. See, just like number 1 is it's a temporary solution to a behavior problem, number 5 is we have to change the lifestyle along with it. One of the things we talk about all the time is there's this relationship in health. It's diet, lifestyle, and nutrition. Your diet and lifestyle decisions will dictate your nutritional gaps. Everybody has them. Our food supply dictates that we're all going to have nutritional gaps, which requires us to supplement in some form or fashion. We all need some form of supplementation based upon diseases that we have, pharmacological drugs that we may be taking, or the diet that we engage in, or the lack of lifestyle or fitness that we decide that we want to do. But the reality is those diet and lifestyle decisions, whatever they are, good, bad, or indifferent, are going to dictate our nutritional gap. And the better the diet and lifestyle decisions, the less we need nutrition. See, most people just think that I can supplement and that's going to take care of my issue. What they don't understand is supplements can only do so much. Without the diet and lifestyle modification, there can't be this, this true health. We have to have diet, lifestyle, and nutrition working together in a symbiotic relationship in order to get you where you want to go. So let's talk about habits. Because if we're talking about behavior modification is the most important thing, you have to understand what we're talking about. You have to understand what I mean by when I say that, you have to focus on your behavior before you can focus on the food or anything else. See, if you have habits, and we all have them, it's going to take you 3 weeks to break the habit. So if you're going to start a physical fitness program, remember this whole presentation is about physical fitness 101. We have to understand first and foremost it's going to take us 3 weeks to break any of the current habits we have and replace them with something else. It's going to take us 6 weeks to develop the new habit. Okay, so it's going to take us 6 weeks to work this into our lifestyle, into our regimen, to make sure that this is something that we're going to start sticking to. But here is the break. Most people will do this right here, but most people are going to stop somewhere between, 2 to 3 months. And why is that? Well, the reality is this. When you're talking about behavior, it takes 36 weeks to hardwire that new habit. You need 36 weeks of dedication in order to make the new habit a permanent part of your life. Otherwise, you are going to revert back to the habit that you had in the very beginning. Does this sound familiar to every diet that you've ever heard, every diet story you've ever heard, every story that you've ever heard of I've lost the same amount of weight, so many times? Most people are going to stick with something for 60 to 90 days. That's just the reality of what they do. No one sticks to something for 36 weeks. But see, if you're truly going to change your health, if you're truly going to change the wellness that you have every single day, if you truly want to understand physical fitness, you need to understand that you have to dedicate yourself to at least a 36-week dedicated program in order to completely rehabilitate our behavioral problems that we have. Because we all have behavioral problems. We all have these addictions. We all have the foods that we can't live without. We all have these little bitty things, be it chocolate, be it ice cream, be it fast food, be it, you name yours that you have the weakness for. We all have them. If we want to completely eliminate them, if we want to get rid of them, then we have to dedicate ourselves to a 36-week regimen. That's just part of it. But again, there isn't a good or bad food. If you want those things, that's fine. It's all about moderation. It's all about making sure that you don't necessarily have to clean the plate in order to enjoy what it is that you enjoy. So, your biggest obstacle is the 6 inches between your ears. If you truly want physical fitness, if you truly want to start the program right, if you truly want to get the outcome that you're looking for and the desired result that you've been waiting for and been promised by so many other programs and so many other places, realize that the best place to start is at 6 inches between your ears. When you start there and we start changing behavior first, then we get the results that we're looking for on a whole different level. So what's the takeaway? What's the takeaway from today's webinar? Well, it's simple. Any physical fitness program should begin in the kitchen, immediately followed by a focus on changing your behaviors. And once that's done, you're ready to change your health and wellness permanently. See, at IdeaLife, we're not talking about a short-term solution. We're not talking about, hey, you can lose 20 pounds in 30 days. That's ridiculous. I mean, yes, you can do that. Yes, we could show you how to do that. And there's a lot of companies that do. But we want to actually change you permanently. We actually want to give you physical fitness permanently. We want to have your health and wellness where you want it to be so that your body can do exactly what it was designed to do, which is take care of itself instead of being dependent upon a medical system or pharmacological system designed to basically enslave you in some respects to the disease pathways that you will inevitably get making the same choices that you're currently making. We want to empower you. We want you to understand this is all going to start with a desired effect of you deciding in your mind first that your body's going to change. And if you start in the mind and you change the behaviors and change your habits, you will permanently change the 40 inches around your waist. That's been proven to be true over and over again. So if you want to learn more about IdeaLife, you want to learn more about what we're doing and why we say the things we do and teach the things we do, then I encourage you to plug in on Monday nights at 8:30 Central Time. We have a Facebook Live event every Monday night that basically will go in more in depth with regard to who IdeaLife is and what we do, and I encourage you to plug into that. If you want to plug into more people that have a like mind like yourself, people that plug into these webinars that have applied these principles and have gotten amazing results, not on a short-term basis, but on a permanent basis, go to myidealifestory.com and read some of the stories. Take a look at some of the before and after pictures. Engage with these folks and reach out to them, and you'd be amazed at a lot of the things that they are achieving simply by deciding that they're going to focus on the 6 inches between their ears. We also have an Ultimate Experience contest going on right now. Our next one runs on August 1st. If you want to sign up for that. I encourage you to do so. You can find that same information on that myidlifestory.com, all of the details, all of the information. It's a community of people all trying to do the same thing you are, which is get their health and wellness back on a permanent basis. Not on a temporary solution, not on a get skinny quick scheme, not on something where you're going to lose 30 pounds in 3 days. None of that stuff. You're going to actually do it the right way. Training the mind, then changing the body. If you want to join us in Vegas, we're going to be there September 15th through the 17th at Planet Hollywood. I mean, there's all kinds of things going on that weekend. But one of the best things is ID Life is going to be having an unbelievable presentation with unbelievable trainers, unbelievable educational programs, and a great amount of information about health and wellness. We encourage you to come join us. We'd love to have you. Next week, it's summertime. There's a lot of people out at the lake and swimming pools and other things. We need to understand how to love our skin. We need to understand how to take care of it. Most importantly, we need to understand how to protect ourselves from a lot of the issues and problems that are caused by not understanding that our skin is the largest organ in our body. So if you want to learn more about your skin, want to learn how to protect it, want to learn how to take care of it, then I encourage you to plug in next Wednesday, same time, 11:30 Central Time, and we're going to talk about how to love your skin. Until then, I'm Mark Bennett on behalf of ID Life. Thanks for being here.